So, our podcast, what is it about?
It's about being a freelancer and becoming a freelancer.
That's correct. You can find a lot of podcasts by independent creators that have already made it, meaning people that make their living being a videographer, photographer, YouTuber, whichever position that makes them independent.
And we are not at this point yet, but we're getting there.
Hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. And we thought there's some value in documenting the journey towards getting there, because I'm sure that many people are in the same situations as us, and they would like to know maybe how they're doing and compare themselves to us.
Yes. Maybe they want to try, but they are scared to try it, so we'll try it for them. Or they will try to do something that we've already tried and we failed. So hopefully that will help someone and inspire someone.
Yeah, being more informed never hurts. We want to become sustainable by doing what we love. So what is your creative project?
So I am a photographer, more importantly, a wedding photographer. But I just recently decided not to call myself a wedding photographer, but more of a love photographer.
Love photographer.
Yes, because I enjoy doing weddings, but I also enjoy taking pictures of families, of couples, and that all is a product of love, no?
Yeah, that is.
So, yeah, I just recently decided to call myself that.
But weddings are still your main thing, right?
Yes.
So where are you located right now?
Located in Prague, but that is a subject to change. I really enjoy living abroad, so we'll see where this takes me.
Right.
So what about you?
Well, did you say your name, Adele?
No, I didn't. So my name is Adele. And what is your name?
My name is Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Yeah, hi, Adele. I currently reside in Massachusetts, just for the summer. But
Originally, I'm also from Czech Republic.
or is it Czechia now? Is it an official thing?
I don't know. I always say Czech Republic.
Yeah, I think Czech Republic is better.
Yeah.
It's not Czechoslovakia, that's for sure. I studied multimedia and I found myself in videography. Sometimes I make videos for clients, other times for myself. And I'm pretty handy with, basically the thing is that if you're making a video, you have to be handy with graphic design, you have to be a good photographer, you have to work with sound. So I like that my projects are kind of challenging in this way, that it requires a lot of different types of work. How did you even start with, I don't think I've ever heard the reasoning behind it. When did you decide to become a wedding photographer or a love photographer?
Well, I first wanted to be just a photographer. I've always admired beautiful pictures and images and art, not only photographs, but art as in general. I would buy fashion magazines, not because I was interested in the fashion, but because I was interested in the photography part of the magazines. And I was always wondering, could I maybe one day do that? How difficult is it to take this beautiful image? And in 2008, I moved to the USA. And so we had a host sister, and this host sister, her name is Lindsay. She bought a digital camera and she wanted to test it out. And so we went outside in the backyard and she took some photos of us. And it actually wasn't that difficult to take good pictures. And that was the first spark in me, and I thought, oh, maybe one day I could do that.
So then you got your first camera?
Not right after that. Actually, I think it was 4 years later, 5 years later, I got my first DSLR camera.
So how many years has that been?
I think it has been maybe 4 years now, for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about you?
I started alongside with my studies. So we not only had a videography class that I eventually ended up liking the most, but we also had photography classes and typography, audio design, graphical design. And I still like it because it's a different type of work. Making a graphical design is like modeling when you have a material and you're putting more material on top of it, and eventually you will end up with a design because you start from scratch. Whereas video is kind of the opposite because it's like carving. Like you have all the material that you took, and then in the editing phase, you just try to slim it down just to the very basics, just to the core of what you want to say, and then you want to make it as short as possible while maintaining as many information as you can in it. So I still quite like designing stuff. So it's like a nice switch of my mood or switch of my work. But video is totally where I find myself. In 2014, I was supposed to be shooting another photography job. And at this time, I got an offer to shoot pictures for like a little starting magazine. And before we even got to that, they asked me if I can shoot videos as well. And I ended up shooting videos instead. I at the time didn't really know what I was doing, but it ended up not bad. And ever since I shoot videos. So we decided to talk about what is ahead of us in this episode a little bit. So what is your direction from now on and what do you want to achieve?
So one of my favorite photographers in the world is Nadia Melli. She's an Italian / German wedding photographer living in London right now, or Brighton.
Okay.
And she is very independent when it comes to the location that she lives in. And that is because she only does elopements and she only does destination weddings, meaning that her clients find her online and then they pay her to fly to wherever they are getting married. So she travels quite a lot around the world and she selects the best weddings that suit her. And that is what I would love to become one day. That is what I strive for because I want to be independent of where I live. I don't want to be based in Prague. I don't want to be based in Belgium. I don't want to be based in any country. I want to have the freedom of moving around as I'm a bit of a nomad.
Actually, I could talk about my favorite videographer in this field, and he has a similar kind of story. His name is, I don't know how to read that, he's Estonian, Juhani Sarglet. Maybe that's correct, maybe not. But what happened was he was shooting pretty good videos, and then at one point he decided to quit his job, and he convinced his girlfriend to quit her job as well. And they started traveling the world and shooting music videos or just travel videos. And I haven't seen any of his recent work, so I don't know how is it working out for him, but I just love anything he has put up so far.
You have to make me watch some of his work.
Yeah, I will.
Because I don't know him at all. So.
I will put a link to his work in the show notes, as well as we will put the link to your girl in the show notes.
Okay.
This is like a theme for me as well. I like to be independent geographically, and I want to be able to just move with my work or
move for the work.
The work. Yes.
I don't care if I want to, like, let's say I want to live in London and then there's this big opportunity somewhere else in the world. I would love to move.
Yeah, I like this idea. What I like about my type of work is that shooting the video is maybe 10% of the work, 20%. I track my hours and I know fair and square that taking the material might take you tens of hours, but editing it sometimes take upwards of 100 or more hours. So I can just shoot the video somewhere, and then for the editing process, I don't need to be in the same location.
Yeah, that is the same thing with photography. I don't think one particular photo shoot will take me hundreds of hours to edit, but it is definitely the same case of like how much of the work is actually location based and how much I can do from wherever.
So what is your like overall plan? How do you want to improve upon yourself? What would you like to be better at if you look back like 2 years from now?
I want my work to be more consistent. This year I've seen a big improvement in my work. I just recently changed my editing style, but I think it will suit me better. Last year I took a lot of photography jobs that I took because of the money and because I wanted to do as much photography as I could. But most of the jobs weren't the jobs that I want to shoot. It was like this one photo shoot was for like a theater show. There was like an evening gala that I took photos of, and stuff like that. It's great as a job, but it's not what I want to specialize in, and I don't think I should lose the time doing that because that will not teach me much and it will not make me improve my style and what I want to be good at. So I decided to be much more picky about what I shoot. Let me give you an example. Baby photography. There are so many types of newborn photography styles that you can do, and I prefer doing the lifestyle type of photography. That means that I go home to where the family lives and I just take photos of what their day-to-day life is like. But there also could be the style where you just wrap the babies in the blankets and make them pose in like different...
In eggshells?
Huh?
Eggshells. That's the Czech photographer.
Exactly, yeah.
Is he famous, like worldwide famous, or is it just a local thing? Or did he even come up with that idea?
Who?
I don't know his name, but I know that he made a lot of pictures with babies in eggshells. Like he made oversized eggs and pictures with babies like crawling out of eggs.
I've seen many photographers do that.
So that's probably not his thing then.
Yeah, but that's not my style. That's not what I want to do. I don't think it's... I mean, it can be cute and I liked it when I was 15, but now when my style has evolved, it seems kind of silly to me. So I don't want to do that, and I don't want to take any client who wants me to do that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So that is what I want to change in the next few years. And I want to be more consistent with the work. And I think that one of the main things that I've changed this year is that I just keep shooting. I have quite a lot of work to do now, and it makes me happy.
What's interesting is that you want to highly specialize on the types of pictures you want to take. Whereas with me, I actually want to widen my focus. I just want to make more different stuff in general. I want to make some animated videos. I want to get better with After Effects and post-production in general. I want to get better with coloring. And I want to have a backlog of many different types of videos, because when a client comes to you wanting you to shoot a video for them, they usually know what style are they going for. Mm-hmm. And if you have something like that in your references, it's more likely that they will choose you. So I didn't really get to a point where I wouldn't like shooting one kind of a video or the other. It's just generally I like both parts, shooting and editing, and I don't care at this point that much what type of video am I making, as long as I think the video is entertaining and I would want to watch it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the trend is a little different when it comes to photography and videography. I think that the video is more about the techniques, whereas photography is more about that one single image, and not if it's technically well taken, but if it stands out as a piece of art.
Right.
That's my point of view, because in photography you have that one image that you look at, whereas in video you have many different moving objects and cuts. It's just a little different.
Yeah, that's actually the reason why I chose video. With photography, I don't know if that's your experience or not, but many clients or people in general, if they see a good picture, they don't necessarily think about the hours of work behind it, and they don't think about how many pictures did you have to take in order to pick this one. They mostly just think that you have a good camera, that's why you took a good picture.
Yeah. I thought about video that it's pretty easy, to be honest with you. And when I looked more into it, then I realized it's actually more complex.
Yeah, like your camera will be shaky if you don't know how to hold it, if you don't have a tripod or any stabilizer. It's difficult to cut different shots together, and everybody, I think, at some point found out that it's not as easy as it seems. So I think that clients are more likely to appreciate a good video because they wouldn't know how to do it, and there is no excuse, oh, he has a good camera, so that's why the video is good.
That is true. I think that video is much more technical than photography, and photography is much more about the art. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but in general, I think it is. And I told you that I consider my photography more as an art, and you said that you don't think that you are an artist at all.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that videos are a form of art. I mean, if it comes to movies, then maybe. But you're not trying to like make something abstract. Like videos are very concrete and on point usually, unless it's some weird commercial for a brand of clothing.
A lot of photography can be just a description or a documentary of what is going on, and that's completely fine. But I want to create something that people put up on their walls, people put up as a wallpaper on their computers and cell phones. And it's just something that is very nice to look at and that makes them more happy, which is the purpose of art. Hang on, I need to let my dog out because he's moving around and whining.
So we mentioned that we're not independent yet. Therefore, we have a job.
A normal job. Not that doesn't sound right. A boring job, let's say.
A boring job.
A job that we don't want to have the entire life.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how I would define it. Yeah. What is your current job?
I just basically work in logistics, and it's the typical 9 to 5 or more like 9 to 6, 9 to 7 everyday job, Monday to Friday. And it's okay, it's well paid, and it's great for people who just want to make a career in a big corporation, which I don't. So therefore, I'm not the happiest person in this company.
I see. Well, that's kind of similar to my situation here.
Yep.
The reason why I'm in Massachusetts right now is that I work as a supervisor of lifeguards. And I was thinking that by getting the job, it'll be all great. It'll be all sunshine and rainbows because I have a car, they pay for my gas, I just go from pool to pool. I worked as a lifeguard previous 3 summers in Virginia, and I was thinking, well, that's just a step up and I'll be my own boss. There will not be much pressure from the top, and I will be just doing my thing and managing people, which is always a good experience to have. Oh, well, how wrong was I? I'm not gonna talk in depth about it. Maybe after the summer is over, maybe I can share some details.
Maybe when you're done with the job.
Yeah, maybe when I'm done with the job. I mean, it's quite different from what I expected. And I was expecting to make some money. That was like probably the main motivation for taking the job, because previously I was working in Mexico. I spent half a year in Mexico starting in October until April. And at first I just came there for fun, just to find out what the country is like. I've never been to Latin America before, and I wanted to learn a new language. So I just decided to go to Mexico. I started learning Spanish, and after half a year, I can hold a conversation in Spanish, and I'll be still making mistakes, but it's okay. And after about a month in, I decided to find a job, which I had no idea how difficult of a task it will be, because one thing is, let's say Mexico is not a rich country, right? And you can easily find listings for jobs that pay like $300 a month, maybe $400. And that's a normal job that people work because otherwise the listings would not exist. And I mean, even though Mexico is cheap, $300 is nothing in there, right? So I wanted to get a decent job, but the problem was my Spanish was non-existent at the time. I didn't have a work permit. I don't know, should I say that or not? I maybe have not had a work permit. And I wanted to work in my field, which is, creative multimedia kind of job.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually did find that. And I did find an amazing job in a filmmaking company, in a film studio in Mexico. And I learned so much about how big production commercials and short movies are made, because the company by itself is not large. Like, you maybe have like 6 stable employees, and then all the staff that you see at the shoots are external. They're just hired for the job. And I've been to big video shoots when there was 100 people on set and everybody had their own task, and it was very impressive, especially to see Mexicans being so organized and doing their job really, really well. And so part of my job was attending shoots on set, which was fun. The rest was production assistant.
Mm-hmm.
So I was basically an assistant of everybody. I was helping with various tasks, from like pre-production and finding locations and dealing with like market research, what other companies are shooting. And it was an amazing workplace, very relaxed. I lived 20 minutes walking from it, so I could just walk to my work every morning. I didn't have to use the overcrowded metro that they have over there. And it was a great experience in general, right? And from this place of happiness and like getting the experience I need right after my university, which I finished last year as being my first real job experience, I decided to, respond to money calling and go to Massachusetts. So I don't really know why I did that. But I mean...
And the money is not even that great, is it?
Yeah, it's not that great after all. So there you go. A lesson for all of us. If you're doing something just for the money, it usually doesn't end up well. If you're just like basing your decision on an amount of money more than anything else.
Well, that is actually what I am doing with my job in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm basing that decision on money. But I've already worked in the company and I know the people, my colleagues, and I know what the work requires. And I know I was kind of content there. I wasn't happy, but I wasn't unhappy, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Where do you find the time for your projects?
Mostly at night. As I said, I'm very productive at night. I am also the most creative and the most inspired when I can work at night. Like, some people argue that, and I can see that all around me, a lot of people go to like different parties or to the cinema at night, like, or in the evening, and they just want to be out and have fun. But to me, it's much more important and sometimes much more relaxing to just work on my projects. And in the middle of working week, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., I find myself working on my own stuff and just feeling super inspired and very well about myself and my work. So yeah, it's about making sacrifices, and parties are not that important to me. My future and my work and my art is much more important right now.
I totally agree. Even though I'm trying to switch it over to mornings, not only because of my circumstances right now, when I live with other people working for the company, it's not really possible to work at night that much. But the morning is the time when you're the most relaxed, most energized. So I think that it should be the prime time for creativity. But I have yet to find out if that's the case.
Well, I know it's not for me at all. I wish it was, but I'm such a not morning person. I am not energized in the morning. I like, for example, when it comes to sports, people have the most energy in the morning to like go for a run, etc. But I just cannot. And
I think it works the other way around. They have the energy because they went for a run. No?
Well, it's kind of like, what was first, the egg or the chicken?
Okay.
No, but like if I go for a run in the morning, I usually die. Like I just cannot run. I physically cannot do it. I cannot breathe. When I go for a swim in the morning, I usually drown.
Oh, you have died so many times?
Yes. I am really in the morning, I cannot do much. I could be productive, like work wise, like in the admin stuff, but not in the creative stuff. Not when I actually need to think about what I'm doing. I just feel like my brain is not awake yet. As I said, I'm the most productive in the nighttime, and I also enjoy that it's dark outside when I work.
Yeah, that also helps. Maybe I'm just trying to fight something that is like in me. I like working at night as well. Maybe I'm just fooling myself by trying to work in the morning.
I envy people who can work in the morning. For example, I watched this Australian YouTube girl, and she gets up every morning at 4 a.m. I'm like, I could, like, what? I could never get up at 4 a.m. to do anything. So I wish I was like her. I wish my day would start earlier. But I tried so many times, and I tried so many things to start my day earlier, and I just can't. And I guess maybe it's time to accept it and not beat myself up about it. What do you think? Like, how and why do you want to work and be productive in the morning?
Well, so there are periods when I just naturally wake up in the morning, and then over time, if I don't keep trying to stay at it, it will like slip off to not being able to get up at all, and then like struggling to even get up on time to start working. So I think that consistency is the key. You just have to keep in mind that you want to wake up early, and then schedule your day around it.
Yeah. Well, my schedule kind of calmed down when I got my dog, but kind of, not entirely. My dog is not the type of dog that wakes up at 6 a.m. and wants you to take him out. He is the one who sleeps until 11, and then maybe he will go out and pee.
Right.
So,
Well, how about this? I cannot work if there's another event coming up. So, like for example, if it's like lunchtime, 1 p.m., and I need to be somewhere at 5, it's so difficult to start doing something because I know that at one point I will have to stop and just get ready.
yes, you are right. And I never realized that. I never thought about it this way. You're absolutely right. That's one of the biggest issues.
That's one of the reasons for working at night.
Yes, because the only limit that you have is yourself going to bed. And you can get absolutely lost in time. You can just work and not think about anything else. That's why it's very, very easy to focus.
Yeah, I agree. What kind of environment do you need when you work?
Clean.
Clean. Okay.
Yes. Not many things lying around. I need the apartment or the office to be vacuumed and dusted. Yeah, then I can then I can focus on work. And I enjoy the minimalistic like decor, and like there has to be only the things that I need for the job that I'm working on. Yeah, so that is very important to me. But I know that's not the case for everybody, right?
Not for me. Well, I'm much more distracted by noise than visual noise. I mean, I'm much more distracted by audible noise.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you might know, I didn't really like doing anything when the dishwasher was on. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Even if it's just like barely audible in the background.
That So for those of you who don't know, me and Mike, we used to live together in the same apartment.
Yes.
And I would switch on the dishwasher because all of the dishes were dirty and I just couldn't see them lying around. And
Well, they can just wait in the dishwasher.
Well, I needed them clean, and you would just come when I was not watching and turn off the dishwasher. That would make me so mad.
I mean, you can just turn it on when you go to bed.
Well, that's what I did, but our schedules were different, right?
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, so no dishwashers. I hate notifications, like with passion. I cannot have any notifications on any of my devices, especially when I work.
I don't mind them.
My phone makes no sound, no vibrations ever. And I have an Apple Watch that lets some of them through, like if there's something important, but I can put that into a D&D mode, do not disturb.
Mm-hmm.
So I can have long stretches of uninterrupted time. Because, I don't know, there's nothing worse than like thinking about something, trying to be focused, and then getting a notification that your stupid friend is trying to, write something on your wall on Facebook.
I don't mind that. Yeah, it's nicer to have calmer environment, but I don't necessarily need that. That's why I actually quite often enjoy working in like coffee shops or the public library and like other public places.
I guess there's like an ambient kind of noise in the background that you can tune out because you know that there is nothing you can do about it. And just if you have noise cancelling headphones, I think you can...
Yeah, but I don't really care if there is a lot of noise. I don't need noise cancelling headphones. Yeah, I can just block it out.
Is it a feature in your brain, noise cancelling?
Yeah, I can just switch it on and switch it off.
Well, I wish I had that. Okay, then I have this topic in mind, which is how do we know that our projects are the right fit?
Okay.
I came up with 5 general questions. And so let's see. I'll ask you questions. You try to answer. I'll answer from my point of view.
Okay.
So for your photography, if you're unsure if that's the right field for you, think of this. Can anybody do it?
No.
No? Is there high entry knowledge barrier or skill barrier that you need to cross first?
Yeah, it's a lot of years of practice, and there is a lot of knowledge, not only about photography, but also about business and marketing and client relationship. And I don't think that everybody has the patience to do it. I don't think everybody has the same opinions on photography. As you said, for you, it's not art. It's just...
Okay, let's call it a creative project.
Creative project, okay. But isn't anything that is creative partially a piece of art?
Well, I mean, other people can find art in it. It's just I'm not trying to put it in it.
Okay, fair enough. It's very creative, it's very artistic, and I don't think everyone has it in themselves. I don't think everyone has a good taste when it comes to photography. And I don't think it's as important to everyone as it is to me.
My take on it is what I already mentioned, that it's not that easy to shoot a video if you have no experience in it. So I see value in what I do. Like many people like what I do, which is a good indicator of that it's not that easy. So I don't think anybody can do it. Okay, the other question is, can you see progress looking back at your previous work?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes. So my best friend shared a photo from the first photo shoot that we did together. I think that was about 3 years ago. And she shared it on Facebook saying like, this was Adele's favorite photo from the shoot, and I don't think I look pretty in the photo. And I looked at it and I was like, I don't think she looks pretty in the photo at all. And I thought that was a good picture, and now I don't think it was a good picture. But I guess it was good for where I was on my journey in photography. And I could definitely see a lot of progress since then. So
there is a trajectory and it's going up.
Yes. Yes, and it's also going up when it comes to client meetings and also how I deliver the work and other values that I add to my job, just in general.
I see.
So what about you?
Well, I can see clearly the progress I made within 3 years, because for those 3 years, I've been shooting videos with my camera.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I was making videos from video games because we had like a computer clan, which I can see how poorly edited it is right now. So there is definitely a progress. But even if I look back at 3 years of my camera video work, it is light years of difference.
Mm-hmm.
And so just trying to get better in storytelling with visuals is the hard part. That's when you know you're making progress, if you can do that well. A thing that I do sometimes is I make voiceovers, which make it easier. But still, like, a voiceover is a part of the video. Whereas if you put the text explaining what's going on, it really takes you out of the moment. Are you getting too comfortable? That's my third question. Do you still find challenging to make your ideas work?
Yeah.
And is there still a lot of tasks ahead of you that you need to master better?
Yes, I would say the more you know and the better you get, it's more and more challenging, because when you first start, you don't know about these challenges. It's like climbing on top of a mountain. Like when you're at the base, you don't really see how tall the mountain is and how many times you will have to climb up and then just go down in a valley and then just go up again. You don't see all of the work that you have to do. But once you start and you kind of like get to the first peak of the mountain, you kind of start to see how much there's still left and how high you have to still climb. And I think it's the same with photography. The more you know and the better you get, the more you know that you're not good at other new things that just pops up in front of you.
Did you just watch Neil Gaiman?
No.
I don't know if he would be the first person to come up with that, but he has a metaphor with the mountain.
And I thought I made it up.
You made it up. Okay.
Yeah, I never heard that before.
So he's a writer, and he says that your goal is your mountain. It's in the fog somewhere, and you don't really know how tall it is. Everything you do in your life either gets you closer or further away from your mountain.
Yeah.
And you want ideally to get so close that you can see the top, but the closer you get, the more you find out that it might be taller than you expected, because you never see the top until you're close to the top.
Yeah.
And there might be no top, you might just keep climbing.
Yep. I just made this up because last week when I was in Iceland, a similar thing happened to me when I was climbing on this small mountain. And I thought it would be like 1 hour hike and it would be very fast, and it didn't seem very high. But as I was climbing, it seemed higher and higher and more difficult to climb on top of it. And I actually did not climb on top of it. So,
did you ever see the top?
I don't think so.
So there are two more questions I have. The next one is the industry becoming stale? Meaning, is it still a developing field? Do you feel like there can be some more fresh stuff that you can do?
Of course, as I said, I think photography is art. When it comes to art alone, art has been developing over thousands of years, and there's still something new about it, and there's still some like new currents that are in, let's say, in fashion and trendy. And it's the same with photography. There are things that are just trendy right now, this season, last season, next season. And I think it evolves a lot, and I don't think people are going to stop taking photos. I think more and more people will realize how important it is to take photos, and how important it is to have a professional take those photos. I don't think it's going to become, what was that word, stale?
Stale, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. I think that phones are becoming better and better, and basically now they can replace point and shoots. And I'm sure that there will be a time when it doesn't make a big difference if you take the photo with your phone or with a DSLR. But still, there will be always the element of knowing the basics, knowing the rules, and like having the sense for how the photo should be composed and what emotions should it portray.
Yeah. And one more thing. When I went to Iceland, I was alone there. I had no one to take my photo. And even though I had a DSLR camera with me and the right equipment, but I had no one to take those photos. And I could do some selfies on my phone, but that's not the kind of picture that I would want from this kind of holiday. So I think it will always be important to have someone to do the work, you know?
I agree. In my field, there is always something going on. Like 5 years ago, it was POV shots with GoPros on your forehead. Now it's drones. Virtual reality is being more and more commonplace.
The 360 video.
360 video. I don't think it's becoming mainstream anytime soon. I don't think VR, well, we'll see about VR. I don't know about that, but compression is getting better, streaming services, and people will always look to videos as the fresh way of delivering information. So I think I don't need to be afraid about video becoming stale.
Yeah.
And the last question is, can you think of any better projects at the moment that would make you happier?
No.
No?
Not at all.
There you have it. If nothing comes to mind, I don't think there is a reason to dwell on it.
Good.
Yeah.
Good, I'm glad.
I don't know if it's scientific, but I think that's pretty accurate. Like if you...
No, I think those questions were actually pretty on point, and some of our listeners could actually ask those themselves. And I think those can be applied to anything that they do. The work they're in, the school they're studying.
Right.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So if you're unsure about university, you want to drop out, maybe ask yourselves those 5 questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also don't ask me, because I almost dropped out, and I'm not the advocate for going to university, but maybe we can talk about this later in a different episode.
Yeah. I just barely made it through my university.
But you wanted to finish. You never wanted to quit.
Yeah, I didn't want to drop out, but
yeah,
a day before my graduation, I was still thinking they're going to kick me out. So
that is true.
All right. So we covered all the topics we had for today.
Yeah. It only took us about
3 hours?
5 hours.
Plus the technical difficulties.
Yeah.
So tell me, where can people find you on the interwebs?
People can find me on my website. It's called adelka1620.cz, ADELKA 1620.cz, and on my Instagram account, which is also under the same name, Adelka1620, and on my Facebook. It all has the same name. My
YouTube channel is called the same as I am called. It's my name. So it's Michal, because that's how we say Michael in Czech. So it's Michal. My last name is Sodek, or Sodek, so it's Sodek. And my Instagram is also my name. So I guess we're done with this one.
All right. Good job.
Good job.